Well, let me turn the camera around. Hey everybody, it's Michelle with Michelle Okerson Vlog and Sweet Home Heaven, both channels, and MAGA, Make America Godly Again. Okay, so I'm running a little bit behind, but I decided I need to get on in here and get my Bible reading in. Today's the 1st of July, 2023. And we are starting a new chapter in the book of James. Okay? I'm going to read today may be a little bit lengthy because I'm going to read the preface for James as well. But before I get started, I'm going to read to you guys the prayer of salvation, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And then Matthew 6, verses 9 through 13. I put 9 through 6. The Lord's Prayer. In this manner, therefore, pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. All right, guys, and I'm reading from my New King James Version Modern Life Study Bible. Absolutely love it. All right, here we go. This is the preface for James, all right? Let's see if I can see see who's on here. Okay. I think. So I'm not sure who's here. I don't know how to do it on my phone either. Okay. If you guys leave me a comment, I can, I'll know who it is, who's here. But if you don't want, you just want to listen, no problem. Okay, the book of James, Faith Lives in Action. James' hard-hitting epistle was written to people whose lives were much like those of many modern Christians. The gospel had lifted them to a better life, and their faith had prospered alongside their improved circumstances. But James warns his readers not to forget those who still struggle and not to be discouraged when their own situation takes a turn for the worse. Our obedience to God, James argues, should neither fade in times of prosperity nor waver in times of hardship. But I'll tell you what, though, it does. It's a constant battle that we're... Hey, Shandy girl. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. James is your favorite? James is my favorite verse of the Bible. I tend to I like Psalms and Proverbs, but it's all good. Okay. When we find ourselves substituting theory for practice, James jolts us into action. He insists that we dominate or dom. Hi, I found your channel under Sleep Stream Community. Love your sleep streams. Subscribe for more sleep streams. Love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let me make you guys. Hey, Miss Shalee, how are you? Let me make you a moderator. That way y'all can, wait, hold on. Let's try this again. Add as a moderator. And then, Shangy, let's add you too. When you do it like this, this way you can just click on the person's name and it takes you straight to their channel and you can subscribe. I'm glad you like the sleep stream. I figured out it's the quickest way to get your watch hours. Okay, so let's move on here. When we find ourselves substituting theory for practice, James jolts us into action. He insists that we put our faith into action, instructing us to be doers of the word, not hearers only. Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world, he adds. Throughout his letter, James urges us to grasp a truth taught by Jesus. A tree is known by its fruit. Some Bible readers focus on what they perceive as a theological debate between Paul, advocating for justification by faith, and James, arguing for faith that is proven by works. But both writers maintain that authentic faith results in action. If our relationship with Christ does not result in changed behavior, we should question the reality of that bond. Apart from a brief introduction, the book of James bears none of the traits of an ancient letter, reading instead much like a collection of sermons. Pointed illustrations pack its 5 chapters, each designed to motivate the wills and hearts of believers who perhaps had grown too comfortable and allowed their faith to lie dormant, making them spiritually immature and insensitive to others' pressing needs. The author of this letter identifies himself as James, but at least 5 men in the New Testament were known by that name. Traditionally, James, the brother of Jesus, is considered to be the author. James was probably the eldest of Jesus' 4 younger brothers. Apparently, he was at first skeptical about his brother's claims in ministry. But after meeting the resurrected Lord, he became a strong believer and leader in the early church and was counted among the apostles. He oversaw the Jerusalem church and helped settle the dispute over Gentiles having to keep the law. James gives few hints by which his letter might be dated. Assuming that James, the brother of Jesus, wrote it, it must have been produced before around AD 62, the approximate year of his death. Internal characteristics suggest that the letter might have been written very early, maybe even in the late 40s. All right, chapter 1. James, a bondservant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. And I'll tell you what, though, I'll stop right there. I've actually had somebody say to me, you're going through this because, this, and this. And at the time, and I actually let people's words beat me up, because I knew where my heart was. But anyway, let me keep going here. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. What was that noise? For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Let the lowly brother glory in his exaltation, but the rich in his humiliation, because as a flower of the field he will pass away. For no sooner has the sun risen with a burning heat than it withers the grass, its flowers falls, and its beautiful appearance perishes. So the rich man also will fade away in his pursuits. Blessed is the man who endures temptations, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then, when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of the truth, that he might be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Therefore lay aside all filthiness and overflow of wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. for he observes himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. But he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it, and is not forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this one will be blessed in what he does. If anyone among you thinks he is religious, and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is useless. Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. All right. The first excerpt in here deals with verses 2 through 5. Growth is a process. God has a 3-stage spiritual growth plan for each of us. Stage 1 involves trials, as many as we need, as hard as necessary. Stage 2 requires patience, waiting for God with conviction and perseverance. Stage 3 brings wisdom, God's ultimate goal for every member of his kingdom. We should be aware that asking for wisdom might get us a vigorous dose of trials that demand a lot of patience, but if we let the process work, we will eventually get the wisdom we need. This one deals with verses 9 through 11. Why the rush? God is more interested in us being someone than getting somewhere. Instead of measuring our worth by what we achieve and acquire, the Lord wants to see us develop virtues such as peace, truth, and integrity. He intends for us to endure trials, trust him to meet our needs freely, asking for his help, discern between good and bad to make wise decisions, give generously to others just as he gives generously to us, listen well and respond thoughtfully, act instead of merely talking about doing good, and showing compassion to the needy and forgotten. Character never develops instantaneously, and God desires long-term growth, not a quick fix. If all we care about is getting as much as we can, as fast as we can, he will do whatever it takes to spare us from self-destruction, even if that means forcing us to slow down and re-examine our life direction. And this one deals with the roots of sin, verses 13 through 18. Some people blame God for their sin as if he puts them in situations more tempting than they can handle. But sin never starts outside us. It always begins within, often because we want something God has not given us. Sin comes from our own covetousness or discontent, a feeling that we deserve more than we have. This close tie between sin and pride should alert us to the fact that God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. The surest path to overcoming temptation is to develop humility, a character trait that leads to contentment. Alrighty, guys, that's James 1. I've got to go post my previous readings and get Sweet Home Heaven caught up. Hi, LaToya. So glad you guys stopped in. So what I didn't understand was, and I've learned, is that apparently if we do if you do your live stream, you can get your watch hours a lot quicker. Yes, I do. I like James as well. Actually, you know what? This is funny because we're almost done with the with the New Testament, and so we'll go back. I don't remember where I started out. I have to go back to Sweet Home Heaven and look at the first video I did. But what I did was it was my goal to read the Bible from front to back. And so when we finish the New Testament, I'll have achieved that goal. But for the sake of consistency and to make sure that it's out there where anybody can actually just play it. I've actually told my son, he's older, he's got, 3 young kids and, wife and his job. I was like, sometimes it can be hard for us to read a Bible. I have no excuses and I still struggle. And I know I need to because it makes my day go much better. I'm just more grounded. But like I told him, it was like the purpose of the channel was not for you guys to see me or to have my reading heard, but it was more to, if someone was short on time, you could, you just play it on your phone and, you've read your chapter for the day, or however anybody wants to do it. All right, guys, so it's going to be a short one today because I got to head out. I got to go DoorDash. I'm rereading it again. I'm in Kings now. Yeah, I will say this, though. The Old Testament was tough. Especially, I think Numbers was difficult for me. But anyway, I'm glad I did. And that's awesome that you're on your second go around. It's definitely something to be, to be grateful and proud of that you've done it. But I did this specifically just because I felt like, it's crazy. I've been a Christian, but I've never read the Bible all the way through. So, but you guys have a great holiday weekend too, Misha. I'll be working. My landlord just called me and said that I don't remember him telling me, but as y'all know, this is an Airbnb that he's renting month to month, and the rent is it's like $1,550, but that does include the utilities and the cable and the internet. But I'm on a fixed income except for the money I make door dashing. So anyway, he said that I was supposed to pay the deposit. I know we had the discussion about it, but I told him I would pay it as soon as possible. But the thing is, hey Nancy Drew, is Latoya here? Oh, okay, hi Latoya. Or have I already said? You guys, my memory's horrible. He might have told me, but I do remember telling him I would pay the deposit in that amount as soon as I could. But I have not felt really up to going out and door dashing so much. One, because it's so stinking hot here. But anyway, so me and Juliet, we got to get out and we got to get busy because I need to make the money to pay that deposit. But like I was telling him, my disability only covers, my rent and just maybe a couple hundred more. And I'm not one of those who receive any kind of benefits. I have to actually pay for my Medicare. But I'm trying to get reestablished with my doctors down here. So yeah, it's, now that's gonna linger in my mind, but I know the Lord will provide. He always does. But anyway, you guys have a great day. I love y'all. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. If not, tonight I will be doing my live stream again. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the easiest way to get your watch hours. All right, guys. Love y'all. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.